All right, welcome back, True Seeker. It is Thursday, April 17th, 2025. The big story in the United States, another mass shooting, this time at Florida State University. And if you're new to my work, it might strike you funny. You might think it's a total load of BS. But if you look into what I'm talking about, you're going to see it's actually 1,000% factual and completely undeniable. And I've written a couple books about this topic. And my first book has a massive chapter on mass shootings and how these shootings follow a very consistent numerical pattern and they often pay tribute to history. We're going to talk about that very consistent number pattern, which is alive and well here. And we're also going to talk about Osceola, the most famous Seminole. Today's shootings at the Florida State University campus, known as the Seminoles. If you don't know Osceola, he was the Seminole who refused to surrender and was captured and died in captivity of the U.S. federal government. And again, here we are in a nation where we know the phrase, those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it. The natives fell to the European settlers because they didn't have guns. Point blank, period. And they also fell due to biological warfare, germ warfare. That was another big part of it. Essentially, they were technologically outmatched. And it's funny how they pay perfect tribute to Osceola, as we'll get to. Just to make a long story short, what I talk about is the Kabbalistic practice of encoding numbers into words. Florida State equates to 77 in Gematria, and today is 77 days after the death anniversary of Osceola, the most famous Seminole there ever was. There's a lot more to that as well. There's a whole lot more to this ritual. The Indian Removal Act that he refused to comply with happened 194 years ago. Tallahassee equates to 194. And if you're new here, there's a big way and a small way for decoding words. We'll go over how that works. The big way, Florida State equates to 194. So small way 77, big way 194. 194 years since the Indian Removal Act, 77 days from Osceola's death anniversary. And this is nothing new. These are coordinated events, and they are meant to mock our existence. If you learn what I'm talking about, you will see how the authorities mock us every single day. The big news with RFK Jr. yesterday couldn't have been a bigger mockery. Again, he comes out in his first press conference on a Wednesday named after Mercury, 86 days after the administration took office, and says they're going to get to the bottom of AUTISM. What's Mercury equal in Gematria? 86. 86. Again, Mercury historically was associated with Mad Hatters, causing neurological problems with the brain. You have a media that will mock you that way and then also tell you that Mercury is not causing any problems related to AUTISM when everybody knows is the Pokey Doke schedule's gone way up where they all have mercury in them as preservatives. Again, the disorder has gone astronomically up. This media is here to mock us literally every single day and lie to us and get us to give up our rights and liberties by scaring us out of them. Everything they do is fear-based. Fear-based. And I hope we do get some calls today. Maybe there's some Florida State students out there listening. I would love to hear from some young students on the ground who want to get out the message at their campus. You know, historically, I've gone to schools and talked about these kind of events, but for the last 3 years, YouTube has destroyed my channel, mass deletions, buried in the algorithm, cut off revenue. It's expensive to do these things. And again, there needs to be more ground support for this work. If it was like what it was 3 years ago, I'd be en route to Florida State right now to speak on the ground about this event. And that's the way it needs to be. When we were at LSU doing this, we got a nice gathering of people, engaged with a lot of students. It needs to happen continuously. There needs to be more support for this work. So that said, let's watch the way the mainstream media covers the news, and then let's contrast what we do over here on Gematria, aka Gematria Effect News. All right, this is the media's cover. And actually, hold on, I'm going to play this because it's some kind of misprint. They have the FSU shooting, and then what's actually the story is the Dallas shooting from 2 days ago at the high school. I want to play this because the dean of Florida State is from Dallas, and I don't think it's an accident. We're going to just watch this too real quick, and then we'll actually watch the Florida State news. But check this out.
Out of Dallas, Texas, that teen suspect now arrested and charged in that Dallas school shooting that did happen yesterday. He is the suspected gunman in the Wilmer Hutchins High School shooting. He turned himself in and is facing first-degree felony charges. This is according to an arrest affidavit. Newly released details in that affidavit give insight into what led to yesterday's shooting at the Southeast Dallas campus. Police were able to
And again, just another thing, just repetitive patterns. When the Dallas school shooting news broke 2 days ago, it was at least 4 shot. When the FSU news shooting broke today, it was at least 4 shot. Again, remember, 4 is associated with death. It's because of Mandarin, Chinese, and Japanese. When you think shootings, you think death. The number 4 is connected to death in the occult. Same repetitive patterns over and over, today and yesterday. I know that they now have it up to at least 6 shot. But it did start with at least 4. I have those headlines captured. And actually, you know what? You go back and watch this, but I just found this funny because I was looking into the dean of FSU, and I was like, it's funny. He's from Dallas, and that's where the last mass shooting was in the news. And, of course, Dallas is associated with shootings. We all know what happened to JFK. But here, let's actually watch the coverage of today's news.
So instead of us taking hours...
All right, first we got to have this ad break.
Out of Tallahassee, Florida, and I wanted to share this live look with you right here. You can see a very heavy police presence right here. This comes as Florida State University has now announced that they have an active shooter in the area of the student union. They are urging everyone on campus to seek shelter. And as we get more information, we will bring you the very latest right here on Live Now from Fox. But this is a live look there on the FSU campus. You can see a large number of law enforcement presence, and you can see that at least this particular road right here has been blocked off. This is Tennessee Street and Woodward Avenue. This is a traffic camera in this area on FSU's campus. This is in Tallahassee, Florida, where the university has reported an active shooter in the area of the student union, urging everyone on campus to seek shelter. We are going to continue to bring you all of the details as this is breaking news, just getting in this information into our Live Now.
Do you think they're going to ever bring you the Gematria details and the tribute to history, or show you the footage of the officers returning back to this area that they have fortified, where they'll probably change out of their costumes? And for people who don't know that that is the case, that happens at a lot of these, you need to do better research. Google has scrubbed a lot of important information over the years, showing they literally do have officers dress up as mass shooters and perform the real ritual of the shooter, because they are drills that are then reported as real news. Years ago, CNN did a piece on this, how that police will perform active shooter drills with hired crisis actors in public places to increase the realism of the scenario. And they talked about how they do it in malls, movie theaters, open public spaces, parks, schools. This does happen. It's not some conspiracy theory. It's something that's literally been reported on CNN and cable news and local news. It's a fact. They want everyone sheltered in place, afraid, so they can't see what's going on. Let us continue.
Now from Fox Studio, no indication as of yet as to when there might be a press conference or an update, but this is a live look right there from Tallahassee, Florida, specifically on FSU's campus, as the university has announced an active shooter in the student union area. That is all the information that is being shared at this moment, but you can see that there is a very heavy police presence. In fact, another vehicle arriving there on scene, another several rushing to the scene with their lights flashing. And you can see that at least in this particular section of Tennessee Street and Woodward Avenue, if you're familiar with the area, this intersection right here has been blocked off. On the right-hand side of your screen, you can see a number of law enforcement officers walking, and it does appear as though they are all wearing their bulletproof vests. So we did want to share this live look with you. We are working to get more information from the university itself and, of course, bring you all developments, but sharing this breaking news as it is getting underway right there on campus of the Florida State University in Tallahassee, Florida. There is a report of an active shooter in the student union area, and the university is asking everyone to seek shelter there on campus. So a live look right there from campus, and you can see a large number of law enforcement officers wearing what appears to be tactical gear. This area blocked off. This is Tennessee Street and Woodward Avenue. We are going to continue to bring you all the latest information and all the live looks as we do receive them. In the meantime, we are going to step away for a brief break, continuing to follow this breaking news.
And notice, again, that's news coverage right there. 3 minutes of nothing. And I'm just making the point. 3 minutes of nothing. Absolutely nothing. They appear to be walking around. It appears they might have their bulletproof vests on. Great. Thanks for the shot of the street with the police cars. Again, the news never gives you any critical information ever about anything. It's just nothing but crap all day, every day. So let's now break it down and look at what really happened. And actually, I even have another piece to talk about. I'm getting news that Lee Corso of Florida State announced his retirement today. And I see, oh my God, we're going to get to that piece last. Just the nonstop ritualism. So again, if you're new here, gematria, however you want to say it, the practice of coding numbers into words, which comes from Kabbalah. There are 4 base ciphers of the English language. We'll go over all 4 base ciphers, and you'll really understand why they're all important by the end of this. But the most simple is just the alphabetic order. A is 1 up to Z is 26. A is 1, B is 2, C is 3, D is 4, so on. You take the letters of shooting. S would be the 19th letter. H would be the 8th. O would be the 15th. T is the 20th. Just using the alphabetic order. Shooting equates to 107. Here we are on the 107th day of the year. Just wait for this Saturday, too. You know this Saturday is going to be ripe. I'm wondering if they're going to make it part of the Trump protests because they're trying to bring this polarization and divisiveness. But this Saturday, the 109th day of the year, Saturdays have a mass shooting in them almost every week. But this year it falls on the 109th day of the year. When you run the alphabetic order forward, shooting's 107. When you run it in reverse, it's 109, just like military. And don't forget, April 19th, a very fateful day in history, full of tragedy. It's also the day the American Revolutionary War began, on the anniversary of Ignatius of Loyola becoming the first superior general of the Jesuits. Again, the Jesuits are who gave us the language and the calendar and who really run this nation in these operations like this. They control the his storybooks. But also, Saturday has the 109 and 107. And just a reminder that 2 days from today will be the 109th day of the year, a Saturday, the day of the Trump protest by the numbers. But look at this. The current head of the school, Richard McCullough, he took over August 16th, 2021 as the head of Florida State. From that day to this mass shooting is 44 months. That's the biggest number I talk about with mass shootings, but I also talk a lot about 191. It's 191 weeks since he took over. Active shooter 191, Society of Jesus, that's the Jesuits 191, Florida State University Seminoles 191. And then the 44 months in a day is perfect because mass shooters 44, like shooting, like gunfire, like officer, like military, like execution, like genocide, like what happened to the Seminoles and many other native tribes. Again, when you do not have the ability to defend yourself from tyranny and evil and oppressors and colonizers, you get wiped out. And of course, the cabal has evolved their methods. You know, they don't really do genocide out in the open anymore. They figured out how to just change populaces through more clever tactics. Nonstop propaganda, chemical castration. You know, people like that little goofy soy boy I was talking to yesterday, Parker, you know, hardly resembles a male. Conducts himself like a little wimpy. I don't want to finish the sentence. But anyway, back to the topic. The dean is from Dallas. Again, the last mass shooting in the news was in Dallas. That news network has it so that when you click on the thing, it goes to the Dallas story. Notice his birthday's April 9th, 4/9, and he's 66 years old. Today's date numerology is 66. That's important for multiple reasons, but we'll start here. He's got the 4/9 birthday. Gun control, 49. Florida State, 49. I told everyone to look for a gun control related story in the news on April 9th. 8 days ago, we got that. 4 teens arrested for a mass shooting on the anniversary of Eric Harris's birthday, the Columbine shooter. And it was his 44th birthday anniversary for the record. Gun control, Florida State. Okay, he's the head of Florida State. Dallas also equals 49 in light of him being from there and that being the last mass shooting in the news. The gun control 49 thing is a very recurring pattern. The 66 mass shooting pattern is also recurring. Mass shooting 66. Again, today's date numerology, 4 plus 17 plus 20 plus 25 is 66. Today can be written 17/4 like 174, and YouTube doesn't like that word that comes from pirates, FALSE, FLAG. What a day for one. No doubt it is. This shooting the other day was, again, at Wilmer Hutchins High School on a date with 44 numerology, where they said at least 4 shot, just like today started with at least 4 shot, 4 people hospitalized at Tallahassee Memorial Healthcare. Seek cover. Seek cover. We don't want you to see the drill in the works. We just want you to be afraid. Under your desks, in the corners, in the closets. FSU alert. It's interesting how they put it out at 9:02. Seminole equates to 92. And it's funny because it's also the anniversary of Barbara Bush's death at 92. And we'll come back to that because Skull and Bones is known for doing rituals and practical jokes having to do with Native Americans, a.k.a. Indians. An active shooter has been reported in the area of Student Union. Police are on scene or on the way. And you know, that's where it'd be the busy hubbub, you know, the school cafeteria. Probably, I haven't been to the Florida State campus, but I imagine it's central. There's probably intersecting paths to go to different branches of the campus. The student union's always the main drag, no matter where you go to these major public universities. An active shooter has been reported in the area of Student Union. Police are on scene or on the way. Continue to seek shelter and await further instructions. Lock and stay away from all doors and windows and be prepared to take additional protective measure. And I know that FSU education's looking suspects. They didn't even spell measure right. I'm just kidding, FSU. I went to Arizona State. It's not known for being that much different of a school, more of a place to go party. But anyway, the other thing that needs to be said is, do you know who was the big news story last night? Who was the big news story last night all over cable news? Is he connected to Florida? Is his daddy former FBI? Was he part of the Parkland Stoneman Douglas shooting? February 14th, Valentine's Day 2018. The Stoneman Douglas Eagles, right after the Eagles win the Super Bowl in Minnesota, when Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School is named from a woman from Minnesota. And the way they put all this stuff together. But yeah, David Hogg was all over the news last night. Cable news was talking all about him. He got this big promotion in the Democratic Party. He's going to take the party to really do something about guns. This was the news story last night. David Hogg of Florida. And then the very next day, we were hardly into the morning, FSU mass shooting. And this is what I mean. This whole generation, the whole 2012 generation forward, where school shootings have been like a weekly occurrence, you know, ever since that Sandy thing forward. Robbie Parker, who was laughing his ass off before he got the cue to get on camera and talk about his daughter who got shot. Robbie Parker got the $120 million settlement by the numbers. $120 million. I wish this work could get a $120 million grant. We would change the damn world. Anyway, an active shooter has been reported in the area student union. 902. Okay. What we know. Again, the media doesn't tell you anything that's known. They just tell you what they want you to think and believe. Multiple patients have been hospitalized after an active shooter was reported at Florida State University campus in Tallahassee. You know how there's a lot of hospital shootings too? Just for the record, hospital has the same gematria value as shooting, 44. And it starts to get interesting because that number is connected to killing, and you might recall all the people that fell victim to the propaganda of the scandemic, and they went to the hospitals and they never came out again. Again, because my sweet lady's in the medical industry, she saw some things. People who work with her saw some things, like people who were totally healthy, and then all of a sudden were just dead out of nowhere. And it was blamed on Cooties 19 when that's not even what they were brought into the hospital for. And of course, there was a big incentive for a big financial payday from the feds if somebody died in the hospital from Cooties 19. Oh, this person came in with a bike injury. Their leg's broken. Here, let's heal up that leg. Let's let it rest overnight. Oh, snap. Somehow they died overnight from Cooties 19. Hey, guess what? Big Brother's going to send us 30 G's today. You guys think I'm kidding, but I'm not. That kind of stuff did go on in this nation. And then you start to look into who's behind the hospitals and the medical system. You start to say, whoa, well, this is weird. How many of the nation's hospital chains come out of the secret society out of Yale, where Ron DeSantis went, known as the Brotherhood of Death? Yeah, should look into that. The Johns Hopkins. Yeah, you know who else went to the Johns Hopkins? Oh, the Dean of Florida State. You guys don't know, the Johns Hopkins University was founded by Skull and Bones member, a.k.a. Brotherhood of Death, Daniel Coit Gilman, who has the same birthday as George W. Bush, who became number 43 thanks to Florida, which equals 43, and the time of his brother being the 43rd governor when their daddy was the 43rd vice president. Of course, both Bushes in office and presidential office were Skull and Bones members. And let's not forget that Prescott Bush, the father of Papa Bush, stole Geronimo's skull. Anyway, the school sent an alert urging students to seek shelter as a shooter was reported in the area of the student union. Police were on scene or on the way. Don't it break over. Lock and stay away from all doors and windows and be prepared to take additional protective measures, the alert said. The Florida Attorney General's office is responding to the shooting. Oh, yeah, time to undermine the rights and liberties. Get your propaganda out there. My office is responding to the active shooter situation on FSU's campus, and we will provide updates as they become available. Are you going to spill the beans on what really happened today, like we're doing over here? Tallahassee Memorial Healthcare actively receiving patients from shooting. Students asked to avoid campus. All activities canceled. People need to call 911. Tallahassee Fire Department responding to FSU saying, okay, blah, blah, blah. So here, let's get to what's really going on. The Indian Removal Act happened in 1830 on May 28th. So it's 194 years ago and change. It will turn 195 on May 28th. So we're at the tail end of 194. Florida State, 194, right? Tallahassee, 194. For any Florida State people going, whoa, are other schools like this? Absolutely. Absolutely. This whole code is behind everything you know. History. This is what they've been doing. And for anyone to say, well, why have they been doing this? Kabbalah. Kabbalah, Kabbalah, Kabbalah. The Book of Formation, the Kabbalistic text in the opening paragraph says God created the world with numbers, letters, and words. These people play God over our lives every day, filling our heads with what to believe, think, trying to control our behaviors, our outcomes, putting us on a path that serves their agenda, where they want to control us. And again, some of the people who helped establish this nation once upon a time, they understood that that is the way authority tends to be, and they tried to give us something a little bit different, some of these founders, where we had the right to protect ourselves from enemies foreign and domestic, and that's why we were given the right to speak and protect ourselves with arms on par with what the government had. Both things have been severely undermined and chipped away at day by day through stories like this, where the people get duped into thinking, oh my God, I just need to be safe. Keep me safe. Well, if you want to be safe, you need to do away with this evil government. It's the thing that makes your life in jeopardy on any given day. And again, it's a deep well of topics. Again, weather warfare. A lot of people in this world don't realize they lost their property not due to Mother Nature, but due to mad science. Again, if you missed our work on predicting why there'd be a horrible, horrible hurricane season last year before it came around, I didn't want to explain what it sucks having to explain how these psychopaths work because it makes you sound insane when it's really them. But again, you should look into that work and you'll understand things why little pooper scooper Anderson Cooper was on set in Bradenton, Florida, where Tropicana orange juice was created in 47, the year of the military's first hurricane experiment. And remember, that also happened the day the Tropicana Hotel was demolished. And then that same day, Tropicana Field got its top ripped off by the hurricane. Again, it was not Mother Nature. It was the military. And just like these agendas are the military. Just like the Scandemic was the military. Just like all the news media when it was established. Every person on TV was military educated. This nation's one big military empire. Just ask the natives who aren't here anymore who got genocided by it. All right. So, the most famous Seminole who refused to go along with the Indian Removal Act. And again, that's what you call a real man. Just like there weren't enough of him at the time, there aren't enough right now either, you know? But look at his name, 25, right? Here we are in 2025. You know who just turned 25 just a few days ago? David Hogg. Yeah, David Hogg, who had his big night last night, all over cable news, getting his promotion in the Democratic Party, saying he's going to get everybody on board with undermining the Second Amendment. Boom, next day, shooting at Florida State. God, these people are in your face. But yeah, also just for the record, Osceola, he died 187 years ago. 187 years ago. Skull and Bones, known as the Brotherhood of Death. 187, a number associated with homicide. It's a huge number with the Jesuits, the Masons, this nation's history. 187, very special number. It also connects to Fraternal Order of Police. Connects to the federal, so much with 187, but just understand, Skull and Bones has their fingerprints all over this too. They're the ones that are always doing the jokes with the natives. They are known as the Brotherhood of Death. And from his death anniversary, Osceola, the most famous Seminole, to today, 77 days later, Florida State 77, United States 77, Secret Society 77, the nation's capital on the 77th meridian, police officer and police department 77. These numbers show up a lot in the mass shootings too, because they're really police drills. Another number that shows up all the time is 33. And today's 33 days after Andrew Jackson's birthday anniversary. He's responsible for the Indian Removal Act. 33 days from his birthday. Indian, FF, police, federal, masonry, secrecy, order. Bonesmen, the alumni of Skull and Bones. Don't forget George W. Bush. He got out of school in 68, graduated as a Yale alumni and Skull and Bones member. 33 years later, he becomes president. 9/11 happens. 1968, the year he graduated, was the year World Trade Center construction began. 911 was made the national emergency dialing code. It was the year I was at the Arizona State Sun Devils, and they had to stop building a complex for a new dorm because they found out they were building it on a massive Native American burial ground. And looking back, something tells me that probably wasn't an accident. It was probably some sick, demented ritual. But anyway, today is 41 days before the anniversary of the Indian Removal Act. 41 days, okay? You with me? 41 is big with Skull and Bones at Yale, where Ron DeSantis went to. And I don't think Ron DeSantis was in Skull and Bones, but if you look into it, you can look it up. It's a fact. There are 41 secret societies at Yale. 41. And DeSantis might have been in Lock and Key. If you look, the information's out there. He's in one of the secret societies from Yale, which has 41. The most famous of them is Skull and Bones, which equals 41. Again, today, 41 days from the anniversary of the Indian Removal Act. Number 41, George Herbert Walker Bush, the most famous Skull and Bones member probably in U.S. history because of his long legacy with the federal government. And don't forget that Paul Walker died 5 years to the day of him dying, and Paul Walker was in the movie The Skulls. But yeah, also just the 33 thing. The alumni of Skull and Bones are Bonesmen 33 days after Andrew Jackson's birthday. Skull and Bones will turn 193 this fall or at the end of this summer. Sometime in September. 193 is the 44th prime number. And Again, just Barbara Bush. It's her death anniversary at 92. The school alert went out at 9:02. Seminole equals 92. Could be coincidental, but again, just the history of Skull and Bones and Native American ritualism. I'm looking at that sideways, going, But okay, I call today Number of the Beast Day because it can be written 17/4, and it's the day leaving 258 days left in the year. Okay. Today, it also has 66 date numerology. So that's what's unique about this year. And then Lee Corso announced his retirement this morning, and he's a Florida State alumni, Mr. College Football. Look at what day his birthday is. August 7th, 8/7. Look at the base ciphers. Look at the base ciphers again. Number of the beast. 17/4, like the date, 17/4. 66 like the date numerology, like mass shooting 66, like the dean being 66 years old. It's the day leaving 258 days left in the year. And now Lee Corso with a 8/7 birthday announces his retirement today? Again, where did he go to school? He played at Florida State. He coached at Florida State. Think about it. I mean, and if someone's out there going, well, come on, he's a football guy. What's that have to do with the beast? A lot, if you pay attention to all the ritual sacrifice in pro and collegiate sports. There's a lot of evil going on. I can't imagine being a part of, on the level of Lee Corso is and not raising an eyebrow and not starting to look into things and not speaking out about it and interrupting a college game day and say, you know what, I love this game, but man, God, another young athlete dead right before a big game? Almost feels like something weird's going on. Maybe the American people need to look into this. Isn't that what the news media is supposed to be? I thought the news was here to help us be informed, so we're on top of things, and, we're stopping things like tyranny. I thought that was the whole point of the news. I thought that's why the news has all these government and constitutional protections, so that it can always ensure that it has the ability to report on what matters to keep people informed. Yet that never happens. It was just like the broadcast I showed at the beginning. 3 minutes of nothing. We got a shot here, a live shot of the street. Yeah, we're on this street. We can see about 5 police cars whose sirens are on today. I see some officers walking over there. It looks like they have their bulletproof vests on. Yeah. It's just, God, it's like, and this is what people are tuned into all day. And then somebody comes along and figures it out, and everyone's like, you sound like a weirdo. Like, what's the point of knowing this? I'm turning the news back on. Oh, important update. They got a lady on camera, and she says she heard some bangs and pops, she thought, and at first she thought they were fireworks. Oh, great. I feel so informed. But yeah, here's the other thing about all this Number of the beast stuff. Notice what Seminoles is in the Sumerian cipher. That's just multiplying the alphabetic order times 6. A is 6, B is 12, C is 18, D is 24, so on. E is 30, as you can see. I, the 9th letter, is 54, and the 14th letter. I mean, it's just S, the 19th letter, 19 times 6, 114. That's how the cipher works. Seminoles just happens to equal 666. And Lee Corso, Mr. FSU, just happens to resign today as they mock history and the genocide of the natives and the murder of the one who had the balls to fight for his freedom. By the way, the douche, Ron DeSantis, it's the 216th day of his age. That's the product of 6 times 6 times 6, 216. He's got that 149 birthday, Skull and Bones 149 as well. Again, Ron DeSantis went to Yale. He just turned 46 last year. Today's 45 days after the state's 3-3 birthday. Ritual equals 45. Again, Stoneman Douglas was on the 45th day of the year in the time of the chump when he was number 45 before returning as 47, like we told you 4 years in advance he would. And yeah, David Hogg was all over the news yesterday. He was one of the biggest news stories. His remarks about his power in the party and how he's going to get everybody on board for major gun reform in the nation. The son of a FBI. I mean, could it be any more obvious? Let me run from Lee. You got to love that Lee Corso's born in 35. We call Thursday the 35 Thursday. Big number every week in NFL Thursday Night Football. The word I-E-Y-E equals 35. Football's 35. Thursday's 35. Again, the football's the shape of an I. Genesis 3:5 is about the eyes of God. People have learned to worship these athletes like they're gods. Let's see. From Lee's last birthday to today is 222 days. Go figure. It would also be his 223rd day of his age, the 48th prime. Those numbers are important too. Skull and Bones and the Illuminati. Skull and Bones is modeled after the Illuminati. And that means it's 143 days to his upcoming birthday. Big number with the Scottish Rite, or a span of 144 days. Big with the Jesuit order. But yeah, what a riot. What a riot. Let's see how CNN's covering the story. Here, let's catch the intense moment. I'm sure they're going to bombard us with a ad. Oh, yeah. Eat Subway. We don't put formaldehyde in the bread anymore. Do you remember when that came out? I was annoyed because I actually used to get Subway quite a bit when I was in college. And back then it was affordable, man. I got footlongs for $4. But I remember I was eating there when it was announced that they were putting formaldehyde in their bread. And I was like, what the hell? I'm not eating here anymore.
For just $3 more.
We are currently in the process of being evacuated. There's a lot of police that are kind of checking doors. It's a very fluid situation right now, but we evacuated from our building to another building. Communications has been roughly the same. It has been just shelter in place. Police are evacuating buildings, and then that there is pretty much like just a shelter in place. And as soon as police arrive, okay, there's gonna be shooting. Hold on, there's gonna be a gunshot. They're breaking open a door, so it's not a shooting. It's just breaking open a door.
Okay, Garrett. So you're okay, Garrett, just to be clear.
Yes, they were just opening a door. They were opening a door.
They being law enforcement?
Yes, law enforcement.
Wow. Well, thank you for that being the top story. That really gets to the bottom of it. The false report of a gunshot. Oh, it's actually just the law enforcement just banging on doors. God. We're the crazy ones. Well, you can clearly tell there was a mass shooting today at Florida State based on all the evidence. We got the street shot with all the cops parked there, casually walking around. Now we got Garrett confusing banging down doors for shootings. Goodness gracious. All right. Let's try some phone calls out here. Thank you to the super chatters. I see that we have raised $15.67. SAJ, thank you for that money from overseas. I appreciate that. King Richard TV, you don't need to donate, buddy. You donate with your time and energy and decodes. The Dallas, Texas shooting was 119 days after the Pope's birthday. Yeah, and the name of the high school did equal 119. Absolutely. Yeah, that's interesting. That's interesting. They keep paying tribute to JFK too. Don't forget the Trump hoax last year was 45 days after JFK's birthday anniversary. Now he's paired up with that other Kennedy. And let's not forget it was on the 195th day of the year, and Robert Kennedy equals 195. And the Indian Removal Act's about to turn 195 years old. Is there something more to that? For some reason, I cannot see the other super chats. Why? Whoever else sent a super chat, thank you very much. For some reason, I can't see it. YouTube is hiding it. But thank you. All right, let me open up the phone line here. If you're at it says we have 195 people watching. How weird. It's too bad there's only 195 watching. 2018, we would have had at least 2,000 people here. Robert Kennedy, if you guys missed it, and don't forget the name of the fireman who died. Let me see if I can get his name spelled right. I know that's not right. There it is. Here we go. The fireman who died at the hoax shooting, his name, or no, that's not spelled right. Where's his actual name? Here. I see what's wrong. It's right here. Now it'll be 195. Boom. R.I.P. But remember, he was part of the Buffalo Fire Department, and it's a reminder that McKinley, the 25th president, was shot and killed in Buffalo, and he was replaced by Teddy Roosevelt, who was the youngest VP to become president at the time, and now J.D. Vance could do the same thing. J.D. Vance is the youngest VP nominee since Teddy Roosevelt, and that happened in Milwaukee. It happened in Wisconsin, 44 land, known for shootings, but that's also where Teddy Roosevelt was shot, in Wisconsin. And notice Milwaukee's 37. Let me spell it right. Milwaukee's 37 shooting. So Trump renamed Mount Denali McKinley to start 25, the 25th president. Predictive programming. It's all a script. They're letting you know the story that's coming. What a good way to undermine rights and liberties. Number 45, getting it even more. Again, he was number 45 when Stoneman Douglas happened on the 45th day of the year. And remember, paying tribute to history, where did they say the majority of victims were at in Stoneman Douglas? They said in room 1214. The first shot they put out from Stoneman Douglas was children walking in a line with their hands on their shoulders, just like how the shooting on 1214 at SH in Newtown, Connecticut, the first image out was children walking in a line with hands on the shoulders. And they said room 1214, where the majority of people were shot at Stoneman Douglas, was Holocaust remembrance class. And again, the people that are advocating against the First and Second Amendment connected to Stoneman Douglas and SH out of Newtown, they happen to go to Saturday worship, you know what I mean? And I'm not trying to put it on those people, but when it does come to the mass shootings and the undermining of the First and Second Amendment in connection to those things, it is very much them. And don't forget, Parkland is, what is it, 80% Jewish, if you can understand my accent. So yeah, hold on. Let's see if we got some callers out here to add to this. Let me get the call board set up here real quick. If you got some additional information to add in, like a Lee Corso retirement, which came straight from the chat at the start of the stream. I didn't have that to begin, but man, does it make sense. Just straight up mockery kind of stuff that goes on every day. All right. All right. If you guys want to call in, let me see here. I'll get the number up on the screen. All right. Call-in numbers bottom center 509-560-4982. If you guys want to dial in, now is the time. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like we're en route to Florida State. This $10 just ain't gonna get it done. What is up? 810.
Hey, Zach, is this you?
It's me.
Hey, man, what's up? I got some crazy info for you. I don't know if you noticed this, but it's to do with the Native Americans and remember the Manifest Destiny, how that was like the declaration to take their land or whatever. So there's that documentary Secrets Hidden in Plain Sight, and it talks about each city's like occult symbolism. And San Francisco represented Manifest Destiny. And do you remember when Golden State Warriors had the city on their jersey versus the Cavs, and Cleveland had the land?
Yep. Leave the land.
Yeah. I don't know if anyone really broke down that symbolism, but I really thought it was the land of the mound builders. Cleveland's like home of the mound builders. If you look at their city streets and everything, it like all the symbolism like points to it. Ohio's the heartland. It's got the most Native American mounds built there. But the natives even say that most of them didn't even build the mounds. It was actually a race of giants, you know? So it gets like pretty interesting, but not to go on that because that's just a whole nother thing. But so they were doing that finals, the land versus the city, but it was the land of the home of the mound builders, Ohio, heartland. Columbus is the capital, symbolism in that. I can't remember exactly why, but so then you go to Golden State, the city, that city represents Manifest Destiny. And then the two stars are playing each other from the same hospital in Akron, the land. little clone babies or whatever's going on, dude.
And yeah, and don't forget that Nate Thurman was also born in that hospital, and Nate Thurman is more than likely LeBron's real father, and Nate Thurman died 27 days after LeBron dropped 27 in the deciding Game 7 on the real King James's birthday, right before the chump had his convention in Cleveland, foreshadowing that he would come back as a split-term president. Yeah, it's all sick.
So
man.
deep.
Yeah.
And my relative used to guard Thurman, bro. Larry Siegfried, 5 championships. I know he's probably somehow in it. I never met him, but he's got like 5 championships for the Celtics back in the day. And Siegfried's Odin's grandson in Norse mythology. And the Celtic logo is that little guy with winking one eye, you know? So the symbolism even kind of lines up in a weird synchronistic manner with that. I was like, damn.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, interesting observation. It makes a lot of sense.
Oh yeah, I got many minutes of interesting observations, but my phone's at 7%, and I'll probably let someone else jump in. But yeah, the whole basketball. Oh no, I got one more thing actually. Do you got time for it?
Make it quick, please.
Yeah, baseball, the Freemason compass. You know how the game diamond. So the whole fucking game is controlled by the mound, the pitcher. The pitcher is on the pitcher's mound. That's the mound builders. So the fucking game, America's favorite pastime, is boom. A Freemason compass, they're the current builders. They're taken from the mound builders, and they're symbolizing with the 108 stitches on the baseball. A lot of the mounds were 108 feet diameter across. I don't know if that's the reason they're got 108 stitches exactly, but 108 is like a big number for that. So,
well, just remember, Major League equals 108. So does geometry, and geometry is super important to study. And that's why the Cubs were Lob City to break the 108-year drought the year they did over Cleveland, where the movie Major League is based on. And, of course, the tallest building in Chicago is 108 stories, and there's a lot of 108s in Chicago. Yeah, we had that in spring training. That was Lock City.
Nice, dude. I drum against that building when I street drum. The Amtrak station, actually, because when I go down to Chicago, like to travel, I use the Amtrak, and I'll go up next to the tallest building. I'll drum my sound wave against it just to, say, fuck you guys. Here's a real sound wave. So anyways, like you get out of the Amtrak station, and it's a giant black cube, and the address is 666.
Yeah, go figure.
And there's a miniature World Trade Center fountain on the inside of the black cube. It's like a mini black cube fountain. And when you come out of the building, the only other so you see all the giant skyscrapers or whatever. The only lit up symbol is a Saturn, just a random planet of Saturn lit up. There's no words, no nothing, no advertisements, just on basically the tallest building besides the Sears Tower. Willis Tower is what's called now, the Sears Tower. Besides that tower, the other tallest building has a fucking Saturn emblem just glowing on it for who knows what reason,
Saturn, very important to the occult. Yeah, Saturn's related to Satan. It's the keeper of time. Everything they do is ritualism in time, and they're always paying tribute to the beast, just like today. So, yeah, great call, man. I appreciate it.
Yeah, man. I'll have to hit you up another time. So I got way more. I got a whole lifetime of information, bro. I'm only a few years younger than you, so.
Yeah.
Thanks for the work, bro.
It, thank you. Yeah, thank you for the call. You have a good day.
Yeah.
All right, take care.
You too, bro.
See you. Yeah, I appreciate all the calls. I'd let them keep going, but other people are trying to get in, and I need to be done with this stream in 20 minutes. I got to go pick up little girl here. And again, if you guys want to phone in, now is the time. The number's right on the bottom of the screen. For people who got here late asking for a recap, you can always rewind the stream or read my post. I'll recap at the end before I sign off, but right now I'm taking the calls. What's up, 719? 719, hello?
Yes, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I just want to thank you for having us all up, talking about these issues that we're finding in, I would say, discovery. Quick question. Are we, not debating, are we familiar who the actual Native Americans are?
Well, the NFL loves to tell you about that one. I think your phrasing is false, but I know exactly where you're going. Again, the first 3 black quarterbacks to win Super Bowls all played for the native teams: the Redskins, the Seahawks, who are named after Chief Seattle, and the Chiefs. So yeah, the NFL is absolutely trying to tell you that black people were certainly here before they came over on slave ships, and it only makes sense since pretty much civilization came out of Africa. It'd be pretty dumb to think these people could build great structures in society but not figure out how to sail across the oceans when Europe learned from Africa. So yeah, that's what I mean with how they mock. They completely mock. And of course, they code 42 all over Black history. And the Doug Williams, 4 touchdowns in the second quarter, wins with 42 points as the first black quarterback. Russell Wilson representing the 42nd state. Mahomes has 42 pass attempts in his first Super Bowl. In Super Bowl 58, he gets the Chiefs to 4-2 on the 42nd day of the year.
Gracious.
Yeah, it's all mockery. So, yeah, I do know what you're saying, but I hear a lot of black people phrase it like that. And I realize I probably shouldn't even say in black people, because that's another thing they've done to us is they got me calling myself white, you black.
But thank you.
Yeah,
I appreciate you. Thank you.
But there are people who were here also that were the natives who look like, when you look at a Osceola or a Chief Seattle, and because again, I mean, they look like the people who are from Latin America, and they used to be here. I mean, they just got genocided for the most part off this part of North America. But yeah, there were definitely these people. Right. You guys and them are the people that were here before the white Europeans come. So I get the gist of your comment.
Now that's where I would like to ask you for maybe some reference that I have to add to the actual Mongolian that we're calling them non-Negroes, right? Even yourself calling yourselves non-Negroes when we are all the diaspora of the Negro migration.
Yeah.
Those Mongols that we're calling straight-haired, red-skinned, those are Negroes. Those are actual Negroes. They come out of the migration of our tribal agricultural self, which does come from Africa. It has 2 migrations, 200,000 years ago, but 65,000 years ago, we have the Nambian migration, which comes from Africa. These are your Egyptian-toned Africans migrating into East Asia, China, Mongolia, and into Japan. Genocided by LLC contracts, by the way. These are just LLCs. We're renaming them different names and different lands underneath an LLC.
Sure. I hear it. I'm a subscriber of the idea that, again, humanity came out of Africa, and I don't exactly know how we changed and became looking different over time, but humanity seemingly has been here for a long time. And go ahead.
That's in the migration. That's in the migration status of the mutation from the climate change.
Yeah, exactly. Climate would have to do with it, clearly. I mean, it's a long story, and we're never going to know all the pieces, but no doubt.
Long. It is so right.
Yeah.
I definitely have all the pieces for that, as you have all the gematria.
Well, I don't have all of it. Nobody has all the pieces. Right. I got a lot to learn, man. I've been at this for 12 years. Imagine if I'm at this for 40 years.
I'm really impressed.
Yeah.
Right.
I got to let more people get in, man, but I totally hear the call, and it was a relevant point. I always like to make a point about what the NFL did with the native team. So thank you, caller. Call us again. You have a good day.
I appreciate that.
What's up, 417? Oh, hold on. I put it on the wrong setting. Hold on. All right, now we're good, 417. Go ahead. 417?
Yeah.
Oh, there we go.
I just have 2. Can you hear me?
We're good. Yeah, I hear you.
Okay. I just have 2 really quick things because when you were talking earlier, I noticed how when you were saying skull and bones and then he went to school, I was noticing how those are so similar, those words.
Skull and bones and school?
Skull and
school? Skull and school?
School, yeah. Because some people just say school for school, you know?
It is interesting. You're right. It is, and you think about it because the skull's where the brain is, where you're getting educated. You think of the word scroll, the word for...
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. Language is so interesting when you think about it. Yeah, good point.
Yeah. Oh, I love to pick up on that, but I wanted to be quick. So the only other thing I had was, have you ever thought of the words to when the Saints go marching in, I want to be in that number? That's a creepy song.
Yeah.
And if you listen to the different verses, when you have time, if you listen to the different verses, it's got some really crazy shit in it. And, it always talks, in that number. So anyway, that's it. That's all I had. But, I love your little baby.
She's a cutie pie. Thank you.
Anyway,
Appreciate that. You have a good day.
Adorable.
Thank you. Thank you so much. You have a good day. Oh, Frisco, Texas, the land of the Carmelo Anthony psyop. What's up, Frisco?
I'm sorry, who is this?
What's that?
Oh, is this GematriaEffectNews?
Of course it is. Didn't you call the show?
Oh, damn. Okay, well, I guess I'm a little behind then. Hey, so I'm pretty new to your channel. I think all this stuff is like really insane.
Well,
Just, like,
here,
how
let's clarify
in-your-face
terms.
it
How
is.
do we mean insane? Do we mean like it's crazy blowing your mind, or you think what I'm saying is just stupid and insane? How do we mean?
Yeah, it's like blowing my mind how all this is like lining up and adding up, I guess you could say. So I guess how real it seems, but I just don't understand like why. Like
Kabbalah.
why would
Didn't I say it in the stream? Kabbalah,
yeah,
man.
what?
This is a belief system, a spiritual belief system. This is a way that God operates in a belief system. These people are playing God through Kabbalistic knowledge. And the fact that the authorities do this should make a thinking person go, well, maybe there is something to it. Maybe there is something about energy manipulation through this methodology. I would encourage everybody to study the 7 rules of Hermeticism. It doesn't take long to read them. You can read through the 7 rules of Hermeticism in 10, 20 minutes, but you can think about them for the rest of your life. And again, one of the rules is that everything carries a vibration. And another thing in Hermeticism is every vibration has a manipulative power, and you're either the person doing the manipulating or you're being manipulated. So again, spells, spelling,
And like,
creating
how
words,
can we
magic.
like
Go ahead.
make sure? But how can we make sure like we're on the right side of this? Because like it's just all a little scary to me.
Well, what I'm trying to present is how to stay away from the things that they use to manipulate us: media, government, sports, entertainment. And I can't say that I'm staying away from all those things, but even if you're aware of this and you're paying attention to it, I pay attention to it for the sake of exposing it. I feel like when you're aware, then the trick doesn't work on you. And meanwhile, I mean, just watch what's going to happen this weekend at the Trump protest. You know there's going to be violence and chaos, and that's what they want to see. All of these people are under the spell. They're being played. They're taking sides in rituals that they shouldn't be on either side of. They should see how they're both collectively being manipulated by both sides of the political aisle. And that's what they want. They want the American people fighting with one another. The phrase is, united we stand, divided we fall. These people are purposeful manipulators that keep everyone distracted, blaming the wrong people, looking at the wrong people. I mean, there's going to be a ton of people out this weekend that think Trump and Musk are the ones that are doing what's going on right now. They're just the puppets on the strings. They are the chosen puppets right now to polarize. The people that remain in the shadows is the other thing I try to educate about. Who's really the puppeteers and who's standing behind these people and actually making this theater play out? So again, my message is don't get played by the show, but also the next level is enough people organizing and networking and putting an end to this, because it could happen if enough people were on board.
Yeah. I mean, it does seem like every single big thing these days has like some sort of weird duality to it, but it's all like one purpose. Like I'm really into like hip hop, and like this whole Kendrick and Drake thing was just like.
Did you see the work we did on Kendrick and Drake?
It all just
Hold on. Did you see the work we did on Kendrick and Drake?
Yeah, I did. I started watching your.
Okay.
I did. I started watching that last night. It was just freaking insane. Absolutely crazy.
And paying tribute to Tupac, paying tribute to history.
The Drakeo, all that stuff was just blowing my mind.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I appreciate the information. I'm looking forward to learning more stuff.
Don't forget when Drake's friend got killed in the bottom of that apartment and it was caught on camera, but they couldn't make it out because it was too blurry. That was all synced up with Drake too. You want to be big on the world stage?
That guy got blasted.
Yeah, you want to be big on the world stage? You're going to have blood sacrifices connected to your name. And consider, if people really were shot and injured today at Florida State, you would say that this blood sacrifice or whatever they did is for that longtime football coach who had a big career with Florida State and in television talking college football. And again, here we are right before the college football draft too, so pay attention to who comes out of Florida State in the draft. But yeah, man, I appreciate the call and the question. I hope I answered it.
All right, thank you, man. Appreciate
All
it.
right, yeah, take care.
I'm not there.
See you. 559, what's up? Oh, hold on. I put it on the wrong setting. Hold on 1 second. All right, go ahead, 559. We should be good. 559, hello?
Yeah, what's up, Zach? I got a couple of things, man. Really quickly, the first thing I want to address was a caller that called in maybe before the last guy. The guy was talking about all life starting in Africa. I got to tell you something, man. Now, I'm not the sharpest knife. I've been to college, graduated, and all that. And I'm black. So I'm American black, not a foreigner black. So let me tell you this. I don't understand the idea that people say it's so logical that all life started in Africa. That doesn't make sense to me. I've been telling black people, stop saying that. I don't think you can prove that. They may say that they have found bones or a skeleton that may be older than any other bones that they found, or they may believe that this civilization is the oldest. I mean, Egypt is pretty old, but they say Mesopotamia is older than that, and Samaria and all. I don't know, but it's not very logical to just say it all started in Africa as if there was no other human beings on any other part of the land. And then you have to say, then there's people that say, oh, well, the land was all connected. It was that Pangea. But it started in Africa, in the center. In Africa, well, that still doesn't make sense. If it was all one landmass, it makes more sense to me that there would have been people all over that one landmass. And as it spread apart over millions of years or whatever, then those people ended up on that landmass, but they were on the totality of it at the same time. I just kind of have a problem with that, man. What do you think about that?
I mean, you have an argument. None of us are ever going to know the whole truth about anything about this world. There's so many mysteries to it. People pretend to know things that can't possibly be known, like what the truth is about God or gods, or that their religion's superior to others. It's hard to, humanity is so old, it's hard to say where the origins are, but a lot of things do point to Africa. I like to look at the rulers for what's known. A big symbol to them is the pyramid, and we know where that is. A lot of things are credited to the Greeks, but all of the Greeks studied in Africa and Egypt. Again, you could argue that still doesn't prove that necessarily that's where maybe there were things before that got wiped out and are totally gone to everyone's. To me, it's not really worth fighting about it. But the point I also always make about what the ruling class does is they use, again, I know people don't like the word black, but when I say black people, we understand what I mean. They use black people like no other race. Ritual sacrifice, left and right. Entertainment purposes, to persuade culture. To me, that says there's something very special about black people. And what is the most, in the time we live in, the thing that came out of New York City, hip-hop music, a black culture thing, it is the most viral, worldwide music phenomenon there ever was. Now, you could also argue that that's part of the time it happened in because of technology and the way things can spread across the earth. But the point I'm making is, again, they use black people to influence and spread culture. And again, for what God knows what this blood magic of continually sacrificing black people by the numbers. There's a reason for that. And could it be that, like somebody called in last night and asked if I know what the FBA movement is. And I'm trying to think of the leader of the FBA is Tariq Nasheed. He talks about how black people have something that none of the other races have. And I think he calls it like Majora's spirit, but he can't really explain what it is. He'll say dumb things. He'll be like, Majora's spirit is why black people's food is soul food, and that's because we cook with love. And it's like, okay, buddy, you don't think other races cook with love? That's a dumb explanation. But I think he's trying to get to something that does seem to be real. I think it has to do with why they sacrifice black people left and right. And again, I still can't answer the question definitively, but again, to me, the evidence points to that being the source of humanity. Plus, also, I mean, what's the most published book of all time? The Bible. And there's only one physical description left in the Bible of Jesus, and it's in Revelation 1:14, and it describes a man whose skin is, burnt like brass? I mean, the most widely recognized spiritual figure in this age we're living in is, and also a description of hair like wool. He's also seemingly a black man. So
not Arab, but black.
Well,
right?
Arabs are right next door, right? I mean, they're right next door.
But they're not the same people, though.
Yeah, I would say right.
They're totally different.
Because the races change, right? But you could, if we were trying to understand how black people changed to a different race like Arabs, and then they eventually became white, you could kind of see the progression in facial characteristics. So
I'll say this. I kind of on what they say about everybody evolved out of black people. I don't believe that either. I don't see that. I think that's totally, to me, illogical. But everybody has their own opinion. I will say this, though. I studied on the Nation of Islam, not Orthodox Islam, but the Nation of Islam under Elijah Muhammad and Malcolm X. Now, this may sound crazy to a lot of people, and Malcolm X is a pretty sharp guy, but he was taught this, and this is what they teach, that there was, at first, humanity was all black, and there was an evil scientist named Yaqub. He came out of the Egyptian civilization. Apparently, these people had a very sophisticated level of technology. I tell people all the time, how the hell did they see inside of those pyramids? There's not any windows, and the smoke would have killed them. So obviously, they had some. They're not keeping it 100 about the technology these people had. But anyway, this evil scientist Yaqub apparently created white people. White people and these other groups didn't evolve out of black people. They teach that the white man.
Hold on. That's the point I meant to make. Can a white person create a black child?
No, but they didn't do it through sex, though, the way they say it was created.
Hold on, let's answer the question, though. Let's answer the question, though. Can a black person create a white child?
That's correct. You cannot. But a black person cannot create a white child.
Yeah, they can. Albino.
No, they can't.
Albino?
No, that's not the same. I've heard that too. That doesn't make sense to me. An albino, there's albinos that still look black. That doesn't mean that they look like a white person.
Okay, but their skin becomes white. Their skin becomes white. So I hear about the features you're saying, but a black person can create a white person because of the possibility of albino. And do you also know about this? Do you know about the 41-year academic fraud of Piltdown Man? Do you know about that?
I never heard of that.
So look it up. It was the first proof of evolution, and it was taught in academia for 41 years. And go figure that Piltdown equals 41 in Gematria. Piltdown equals 41, taught for 41 years. It came out of the UK. Piltdown's in the UK. They taught that it was the reason that white people were the most evolved and the most superior race because the oldest known human being was Piltdown Man, and that was clearly a white person since they were from the United Kingdom where white people are. But after 41 years, it was admitted to that it was a completely made-up fraud and forgery, partly for white supremacy, but also to substantiate the theory of evolution. And for all the people out there that are just so sold that evolution is the real deal, why did academia have to make up a lie and pass it off as truth? And again, why was it for 41 years before they admitted it was a lie? It shows you how relevant what I'm teaching is about. But yeah, that's also another thing to think about. Why did academia have to lie about the first person being white? That should make you think.
That makes a lot of sense. And that theory of evolution, that doesn't make any sense as well. And it just also at the same time doesn't make sense that all these races came from black people. What they taught about this scientist Yaqub, they say he somehow grafted the white man. I don't know how he did it, but some kind of technology. He did it. He created the white man, and the process took 600 years or something like that. But once he finally created the white man, they called him Esau, and the white man he was evil. The creation was evil inherently. Yaqub was outlawed or exiled from the Egyptian society. And as a result of this, the creation, they said, would have 6,000 years of reign on the planet, where that civilization of Egypt would fall and this creation would run the planet for approximately 6,000 years. Now, what's interesting about that is that I say, okay, let's look at the time. If that's true, that sounds absolutely ridiculous. But if I look at it and I say, when is the origin of the white race? And I don't know if they really have an origin that goes back more than 7,000 years. And they said that this is around the time when Jacob grafted the white man. Can you really prove the history of the white people more than 7,000 years ago? And if so, if that's true, Jacob, where did they come from? If Jacob didn't do it, and the scientists didn't do it, where did they come from? They don't have a history longer than 6,000 or 7,000 years ago.
Yeah, again, these things can be debated endlessly. We can do this. It's gotten off topic. This came up because we were talking about natives, and somebody called in and said, "But do you know who the true natives are?" And I understand where that argument comes from.
Right.
We can have this conversation another time. But just since we're talking about white and black, I just want to remind people what they did to Tupac too. Tupac died on Caesar Borgia's birthday, who is what white Jesus is modeled after. And then they put out the album Machiavelli, a play on Machiavelli, who wrote The Prince. And The Prince is based on Caesar Borgia, who was the son of a pope. That's why white Jesus is modeled after the son of a pope. It only makes sense because the Catholic churches who spread the name Jesus, which is not even the true name. And
wait a minute, Machiavelli. I think I remember that. You correct me on this, but I think in '96 or later on, I think Machiavelli album came out after Tupac had already died.
yeah,
right?
that's why I said it came out on Remember the 5th of November, the day that's very special to the Jesuits. Tupac died September 13th, which is Caesar Borgia's birthday, and then 53 days later, the album came out. Like, the real Machiavelli's birthday is 5/3, May 3rd. Remember, the year that Prince died in 2016, a couple weeks later, Tupac's mom was announced dead, and the news broke on May 3rd that she died. And if you look it up, it'll say she died May 2nd, but all the news broke on the real Machiavelli's birthday that Tupac's mom died, again, right after Prince passed by the numbers. Again, Prince had the song, I Would Die For You, number 4, letter U is how he wrote it. Used the 21st letter. He died on 4/21, like I would die for you. So... Anyway, man, I got to wrap this up, but you guys like this conversation. We can have, maybe I'll host some debate where people come in and they talk about why they think this race is the origin, and it can just be a related conversation. That I know a lot of my community is darker complected. I think it would be an interesting conversation, but it is a little bit off topic for this stream. So we'll do it though. We'll do it.
Okay. All right.
Maybe we'll do it on Tupac's birthday, you guys, September 13th. It'll be here before you know it. We'll have a huge discussion about race and what everyone thinks is really going on. And I know that we'll have a lot of people that want to participate in that one. We'll do it on Tupac's birthday, September 13th. Mark it down on your calendar. Or I said on his birthday. Hold on. You know what? We'll do it on his birthday, which is June 16th. I was thinking his death anniversary, September 13th. We'll do it in June. That's not so far away. June 16th, we'll have the big discussion.
That sounds good.
All right, man. All right, take care.
All right.
All right, see you. Let's get a little bit of the updated news. Let's see if they got any breaking important details. Do we have anything here?
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Lindsay Reiser. We are following breaking news from Tallahassee, Florida, where police are on the scene of a shooting at Florida State.
Here, before we watch this, again, just quick, I'm not going to go over the whole decode that we did earlier, but again, the most famous Seminole, this is at the Florida State University Seminoles campus. The most famous Seminole is Osceola. Today's 77 days after his death anniversary. He died in federal captivity because he refused to go along with the Indian Removal Act that came from Andrew Jackson. Notice, 77 days after the death anniversary. Florida State, 77, like United States, like Secret Society. It's also 33 days after Andrew Jackson's birthday, who was responsible for the Indian Removal Act, Indian, FF, Police, Federal Masonry, Secrecy Order. Numbers we see all the time in these shootings, how they put them into the rituals. And then if you do it the big way, Florida State and Tallahassee are 194, and it's 194 years and change since the Indian Removal Act happened. Now, there's more to it. I covered a lot more. But those are the big points. So now let's go back live to Tallahassee. That lady's got some broad-ass shoulders.
University that left multiple people injured. Right now, we know from Tallahassee Memorial Hospital that there are 6 patients, 5 serious and 1 critical. We are waiting for information on their ages and their genders. We know that an alert was sent out by the school saying the shooting happened at the student union around noon today, Eastern time. We know students are sheltering in place. All classes and activities for the rest of the day are canceled. The White House says the president has been briefed and is monitoring the situation. We have team coverage on this for you. We have CBS News senior coordinating producer for the Crime and Public Safety Unit, Anna Schechter, alongside CBS News correspondent Chanel Call, both following this for us. Let's go ahead and go first to you, Anna, with the latest that we know.
Well, you just cited those numbers. The latest confirmed information that we have from the local hospital, 6 patients, 5 in serious condition, 1 in critical condition.
Okay. About 6, again, just one more important point about today's story. 6, right? The date numerology 66, the dean 66 years old. Again, it's number of the beast day. It's 17/4, 66 numerology this year. The day leaving 258 days left in the year. And Lee Corso of Florida State, who retired today, has an 8/7 birthday. This ritual looks like it's for him. Florida State player and coach. But these are the 4 base ciphers of the English language, the alphabetic order, the reverse alphabetic order, and both orders with numerology applied. Again, what makes it extra unique this year is the fact that the date numerology is 66 as well. Mass shooting also equals 66. 4 plus 17 plus 20 plus 25 is 66, which would break down to 12, which would break down to 3. But anyway, Seminoles in the Sumerian cipher, just multiplying the alphabetic order times 6 is 666. It started with at least 4 shot and went up to 6 on Beast Day. I got to go pick up Sweet Girl, you guys. Thank you to everyone who hits the like and the share. Thank you to the super chatters. I'm waiting for the day we can get funded like the shills and get this movement on the road. I might have to see where I can sign up to be a shill to get some momentary funding. I wonder if you can sign up to be a shill and then get the crazy funding and then drop out of the program and then start your own news network. I wonder if it works like that. Get tired of watching these YouTube shills just get piled on with just super chats. Like they're not even saying anything. They're like showing the news, some dumb commentary, $100 super chat, 50, 100, 20, 50, 100. It's like, what the hell is going on, man? These people aren't showing shit. I'm doing like revolutionary work every day, working my ass off with no sleep, raising a little one, never stopped for 12 years. 2-hour streams, we raised $10. It's like, damn, I need this shill money so we can change the damn world. We need a movement. Real people don't got money, I get it. And that's the thing, too, about the opposition, man. The cabal's just got limited resources, this fiat currency, fake money. Just keep giving all their shills their fake printed digital money all day long. We got to tap in somehow. We got to tap in. I need plane money to get down to Florida State right now and get this back on the ground. All right, Truth Seeker. We'll leave it there. Till next time.